edit text, edit text. How to edit text? Edit text. If you'd like to edit text, we have steps here now. Step number 1. You should select the move tool and double click the type layer on the canvas. And after that, you should select the horizontal type tool or the vertical type tool, and then select the type layer in the layers panel, or click in the text flow to automatically select a type layer. Step number 2. Position the insertion point in the text and do one of the following. You should click set the insertion point firstly, and after that you should select one or more characters you want to edit. Step number 3. Enter text as desired. Step number 4. Do one of the following to apply your changes to the type layer. You should select a new tool firstly, and after that click a layer in the layers panel. This action, by the way, auto commits changes and also selects the layer. And after that you should click the commit button in the options bar, and to cancel the changes click the cancel button and in the options bar or press escape. How to specify curly or straight quotes? How to specify curly or straight quotes? By the way, typo photographer quotes often called curly quotes or smart quotes, and blend in always the curves of the font. And typographers, by the way, quotes are traditionally used for quotation marks and apostrophes, and the straight quotes are traditionally used as abbreviations for feet and inches. We have steps. Step number 1, you should choose edit, then you choose preferences, then you choose type if you use Windows, or select Photoshop, or select preferences and type if you use macOS. Step number 2, under type options you should select or deselect use smart quotes. How to apply anti-aliasing to a type layer? How to apply anti-aliasing to a type layer? By the way, anti-aliasing produces a smooth edged type by partially filing the edge pixels, and as a result the edges of the type blend into the background, like the next image now. The next image now explain for you, by the way. Anti-aliasing set to name in the left side, and in the right side with strong. And when creating, by the way, type for display on the web, consider that anti-aliasing greatly increases the number of colors in the original image, by the way, and this limits your ability to reduce the number of colors in the image, and thus to reduce the size of the image file. And anti-aliasing may also cause stray colors to appear along the edges of the type. And when reducing, by the way, file size and limiting the number of colors are most important, by the way, and it may be preferable to avoid anti-aliasing and despite the judged edges also. And also consider using larger type than you would use for print. And larger type is easier, by the way, to view on the web and gives you more freedom in deciding whether to apply anti-aliasing. Note and be careful, please, here now. When you use anti-aliasing, type may be rendered, by the way, incontinuously to add small sizes and high resolutions, such as the resolution used for web graphics. And to reduce this inconsistency, deselect the fractional width option in the character panel menu. We have steps. Step number 1, you should select the type layer in the layers panel. Step number 2, you should choose an option from the anti-aliasing menu in the options bar or the character panel, or choose layer, then choose type and choose an option from the sub menu. And you have options here in this point: none and sharp and crisp and strong. What about none? None AC meaning applies no anti-aliasing. None AC meaning applies no anti-aliasing, and sharp AC meaning type appears at its sharpest. And what about crisp? Crisp AC meaning type appears somewhat sharp, and strong AC meaning type appears heavier. Type appears heavier, and smooth AC meaning type appears smoother. And so what about check and correct spelling? How to check and correct spelling? By the way, when you check the spelling in a document, Photoshop, by the way, questions any words that aren't in its dictionary, and if a questioned word is spelled correctly, you can confirm its spelling by adding the word to your personal dictionary. And if a questioned word is misspelled, you can correct that. And you have steps. Step number 1. If necessary, in the character panel, you should choose a language from the pop-up menu. Firstly, at the bottom of the panel. This is the dictionary Photoshop uses to check spelling, by the way. Step number 2. Optional. Show or unlock type layers, and the check spelling command doesn't check spelling in hidden or locked layers. Step number 3. Select a type layer, then to check specific text, select the text, and to check a word, place the insertion point in the word. Step number 4. You should choose edit, then choose spelling. Step number 5. If you selected a type layer and want to check the spelling of only that layer, deselect check all layers. Step number 6. As Photoshop finds unfamiliar words and other possible errors, click one of the following. We have ignore. Ignore is meaning continues the spelling check without changing the text. And ignore all. Ignore all is meaning ignores the questioned word during the rest of spelling check. And change. Change is meaning correctness. Misspelling. Make sure that the correctly spelled word is in the change to text box and click change. And if the suggested word is not the word you want, select a different word in the suggestions text box or enter the correct word in the change to text box. And change all. What about change all? Change all is meaning corrects all instances of the misspelling in the document. And make sure that the correctly spelled word is in the change to text box, by the way. And what about add? Add is meaning stores the unrecognized word in the dictionary, and so that subsequent occurrences are not flagged, by the way, as misspellings. What about find and replace text? Find and replace text. We have steps. You should select the layer containing the text you want to find and replace, firstly. And after that, place the insertion point at the beginning of the text you want to search. And then select a non-type layer if you have more than one type layer and you want to search all layers in the document. And note and be careful please here now. In the layers panel, you should make sure the type layers you want to search are visible and unlocked. And the find and replace text command doesn't check spelling in hidden or locked layers, by the way. Step number 2. You should choose edit, then choose find and replace text. Step number 3. In the find word box, type or paste the text you want to find, and to change the text, type the new text in the change to text box. Step number 4. You should select one or more options to refine your search. We have many options here now. The first option, search all layers. Search all layers is meaning search all layers is meaning searches all layers in a document. This option, by the way, is available when a non-type layer is selected in the layers panel. And after that, next options, forward. Forward is meaning searches forward from an insertion point in the text. And you select this option, by the way, to search all the text in a layer, regardless of where the insertion point is placed. And next option, case sensitive, is meaning searches for a word or words that exactly match the case of the text in the find what text box. For example, with the case sensitive option selected, a search for pre-press doesn't find pre-press, by the way, or pre-press. And next option, whole word only. Whole word only is meaning disregards the search text if it's embedded in a large word. For example, if you are searching for any as a whole word, many is disregarded. Step number 5. You should click find next to begin the search. Step number 6. You should click one of the following buttons. We have options. The first button, change, is meaning replaces the found text with the revised text to repeat the search, and then select find next. And the second options, change all, is meaning searches for and replaces all occurrences of the found text. And the next option, change and find, its meaning replaces the found text with the reversed text and then searches for the next occurrence. So what about assign a language for text? Assign a language for text is meaning that Photoshop, by the way, uses language dictionaries to check hyphenation, and language dictionaries are also used to check spelling. Each dictionary contains hundreds of thousands of words, by the way, with standard syllable breaks, and you can assign a language to an entire document or apply a language to selected text. Like the next image now. The next image now explain for you examples of hyphenation for different language. And you have A and B and C. A is meaning cactophiles and in English USA, and B cactophiles in English UK, and C cactophiles in French. And you have steps. Step number 1. To enter text using a specific language dictionary, you have to choose the dictionary from the pop-up menu in the lower left corner of the character panel. Then enter the text. And after that, to change the dictionary of existing text, you should select the text and choose the dictionary from the pop-up menu in the lower left corner of the character panel. Step number 2. In the character panel, you should choose the appropriate dictionary from the pop-up menu in the lower left corner of the panel. Note and be careful please here now in this point. If you select text with multiple languages, or if the type layer has multiple languages, the pop-up menu, by the way, in the character panel will be dimmed and it will display the word multiple. And so what about scale and rotate? What about scale and rotate type? Scale and rotate type. What about scale and rotate type? Adjust the scale of type. Adjust a scale of type. By the way, you can specify the proportion between the height and width of the type relative to the original width and height of the characters. And unscaled characters, by the way, have a value of 100%. And some type families include a true expanded font, and which is designed with a larger horizontal spread than the explained type style. And the scaling distorts the type, so it's generally preferable to use a font that is designed as condensed or expanded if one is available. We have steps. Step number 1. You should select the characters or type objects you want to change firstly. And if you don't select any text, the scale applies, by the way, to new text you create. Step number 2. In the character panel, set the vertical scaling options and or the horizontal scaling option. And how to rotate type. By the way, to rotate type, select the type layer firstly and use any rotate command or the free transform command for paragraph type. And you can also select the bounding box and use a handle to rotate the type manually. And to rotate multiple characters in vertical ancient text, use the use state Shuyuko. And what about rotate vertical type characters? How to rotate vertical type characters? By the way, when working with vertical type, you can rotate the direction of characters by 90 degrees. Rotated characters appear upright, and unrotated characters appear sideways and perpendicular to the type line. Like the next image now. The next image explained for you in the left side original type and in the right side without vertical rotation. We have steps. Step number 1. You should select the vertical type you want to rotate or unrotate. Step number 2. You should choose a standard vertical Roman alignment from the character panel menu. And a check mark indicates that the options is selected, by the way. And note here please and be careful. You can't rotate double byte characters, by the way, and full wide characters available only in Chinese and Japanese and Korean fonts. And any double byte characters in the selected range will not be rotated, by the way. And how to change the orientation of a type layer. By the way, the orientation of a type layer determines the direction of type lines in relation to the document window. And for point type or the bounding box, for paragraph type, when a type layer is vertical, the type follows up and down. And when a type layer is horizontal, the type follows from left to right. And don't confuse don't confuse the orientation of a type layer with the direction of characters in a type line. We have steps now here again now. Step number 1. You should select the type layer in the layers panel firstly. And number 2, select a type tool and then click the text orientation button in the options bar. And then choose layer, then choose type, then choose horizontal, or choose layer, then choose type, then choose vertical. And then choose change text orientation from the character panel menu. How to rasterize type layers. How to rasterize type layers. How to rasterize type layers. By the way, some commands and tools such as filter, effects, and painting tools are not available, by the way, for type layers. And you must rasterize the type before applying the command or using the tool. And rasterizing converts the type layer into a normal layer, by the way, and makes its content uneditable as text. And a warning message appears if you choose a command or tool that requires a rasterized layer. And some warning messages provides an OK button. You can click to rasterize the layers. And you should select the type layer and choose layer, then choose rasterize, then choose type. Thank you.